Hi, friends. Welcome back to At Home with Holly. My name's Holly. I am so glad that you're here with me today. We are in my garage and it's freezing. But I wanted you guys to see right here, I have 3 trays of strawberries. And I'm going to take you back to how we sewed them together. But we sewed them together. And then I looked at the packet and I was like, oh, they needed cold stratified. so so I'm basically just putting them in my garage, keeping them moist and letting them be really, really, really cold because we're in an Arctic blast for the next few weeks. And then I'll bring them back downstairs to my grow room. But let me show you how we got here. Also, today I'm going to go back down to the grow room and we are going to start our sweet potato slips together. Last year I started them early February and they were good, but I want them even bigger and stronger. So we're going to go downstairs. Oh my gosh, it's so cold in here. I got to get downstairs to the basement. But we're going to start our sweet potato slips and a few more flower seeds as well. Garden 2024, here we go. Let's get warm. Okay, friends, so in the corner of my basement, there is a storage room. It goes from out there where it's finished to in here is a storage room, and I keep all my Christmas stuff, all of my canning supplies. And then over here we have the grow area, and I chose this area because it is by some outlets. And so I've had different setups through the years, but right now this is currently where we're at. So let me take you back to when we did the strawberries, and I'll get set up for our next planting. We are in my grow room, which is in my basement, and it's got shelves for with all the lights and the heat mats and stuff, and a tray set up here for working, and then more storage and stuff down there. And so we are going to be spending a lot of time together for the next few months down here starting seeds. We're not going to start all the seeds at once. We're going to do it little by little, but there are some seeds that we get to start today. And I've been waiting because I actually placed an order with MI Gardener and it just came today. Y'all know I love MI Gardener. He's the real deal. So I'm so excited because we're going to be growing these. And so we're going to get these we're going to get these planted and the seeds sown today. So Yellow Wonder strawberry, I'm excited for those. Yellow Wonder Alpine strawberry. So I'm going to get these trays filled up with some soil and kind of walk you through what we're going to be starting today. I might start a couple of vegetables too, depending on how many spots we have left in these trays. I want to get them all filled. So let's get going. So for my seed starting mix inside, I actually use Pro Mix, but we'll get more into all the details of that in just a little bit. Okay, so I have moistened the soil just enough so that when you pick it up, it holds a shape, but there's no drops coming out when I squeeze it. And now I'm going to go ahead and add, you don't have to do this step, but I always do. This is Trifecta Plus. It's my favorite fertilizer from MI Gardener. It's just a slow release all-purpose fertilizer. It's just really balanced fertilizer. So I always mix some in with my seed starting mix. You can't over fertilize with organic fertilizer, and the seeds won't uptake it unless they need it. But if they do, it's in there waiting for them. You don't need to do too much, just a little bit. All right, now I will get these cups filled with our Pro Mix. I use Pro Mix for seed starting, and I've always been super happy with it. I've used it for the last 2 years, and I'm happy with it. So I'm going to get all of these filled up so that we can get planting. So one of the awesome things about my basement is there's actually a bathroom down there, so there is running water. So it's really easy for me to keep this big bag of Pro Mix kind of under the table where I work on my seedlings and stuff. And then I just fill up one little Tupperware type container, storage container worth of soil at a time, take it over to the bathroom and get it get it ready to go. Then I mix in the fertilizer and we get going. So I do like to set up the trays before I get planting. That way I'm kind of doing, kind of like when I do with cooking and canning, I'm doing more of an assembly line style for setting things up. But that way I'm doing all the stuff with the wet soil, and then I'm kind of getting all my seeds ready, and then I'm ready to go and just have a more fun time planting. Alrighty, so what we've got going on here is I have three 32 cell trays. They're 10 by 20 trays from Bootstrap Farmer. They have the tray with no holes, so you can bottom water. They have the holder that holds all the individual pots, and then I have 32 pots in here per tray, and I've got three of these trays going. I don't know how many strawberries I need. These strawberries, I've never had them before, but Luke, my gardener, was talking about them. Of course, I ordered them. These strawberries are supposed to taste like pineapple, like the best strawberry you've ever had. And so I'm just excited to try them. They're not supposed to send out runners, like maybe the occasional runner, but generally speaking, they don't send out runners. The problem that I've been having, not problem, but the situation with with all strawberries, when you grow them that aren't these, they produce runners like crazy. And the first year it's the mother plant. The second year there's just runner. And so you're constantly having to like keep track of like what are the second and third years, because after 2 or 3 years they don't really produce as much fruit. So constantly like cutting, moving, and like rotating so that you don't have like a 10-year-old strawberry bed. You're constantly like, okay, you lived there for 2 years. Now we put your runners in the other bed, and that kind of thing. I like the idea. You guys were with me when I built and put together the berry grape area. I really like the idea of having these because they're compact, like bush style. And the birds supposedly don't not like them, but don't look for them because they're not red. So I might actually like get to harvest them. So I like the idea of planting these around the blackberries, raspberries, blueberries, because there's room in those beds. So that's my thought. Each of them are like kind of like their own little 1 foot situation. So in theory, I could fill up all of these because then I would have 96 strawberry plants. And that is enough to do like the edge of, 6 beds. That's like putting 18 plants, one every like foot all around the edge. And that's assuming all of them took and like grew. So, and then took during the transplant. Anyway, by starting them in January, supposedly you can even possibly get fruit the first year. So let's get these things started. So I've got these set up. It says they take 14 to 21 days to germinate. At this point, I'm not noticing it says they need cold stratification, but we will fix that later. Okay, it does say you're supposed to place plants 24 inches apart. Whatever they say in the packet, I just always do half. Always do half. And I learned that from my gardener, Luke. So these are his packets. It says 24 inches. I'm going to go half. So, yeah. All right, let's see. Let's see what we're working with. Oh my gosh. If these are not the tiniest, cutest little seeds. Okay. I should have grabbed a toothpick to plant with. I didn't realize they were this tiny. Okay, guys, the seeds were so small that I didn't even bother zooming in because I know the camera wouldn't even pick them up since I'm recording with my phone. But these were very small. When the seeds are this small, you really should like dump them all out on something that's like white or really easy to spot them, and then use a tiny toothpick to plant them. I was too stubborn to stop what I was doing and go get those things. So I did find that I had a roll of paper towels on there. So I do end up spreading the packet out carefully onto paper towels and planting the other trays. But I just got so excited planting these that I just kept going and going and going. And so we end up planting all 3 containers worth of strawberry seeds, and I'm pretty excited about it. Not mad at it at all, but I really should have taken the time to go get the toothpick. But we got it figured out and it ended up working out in the end. When seeds are this small, though, what you want to do is make a really smooth surface on top of the soil. Just put the seeds right on top of the soil and then make sure they stay moist until they germinate. I do end up adding some vermiculite on top of the seeds, just a really light dusting, because vermiculite helps keep the soil moist right at the top where they're going to be germinating. So I do end up adding that as well. Okay, you guys. Those were tiny. So here you can see from a little better angle that I am taking the packets and emptying them out onto the white paper towel, which makes the seeds a little easier to see, but they are pretty microscopic. That's great. We got it all done. So there's at least 1, if not 2 little seeds in each one of these cells. Now these cells are overkill these pots are overkill for how small the seeds are, but this is the way they ended up working out. So I'm pretty happy with that. I did take the time to label all 3 trays, and then I got my pump sprayer and just really gently put a nice mist on top of all 3 of the trays, and then got them settled in on their racks so that I could get them under the grow lights. Then I took just a minute to put the rest of my seeds that I ordered away and look for some more to plant. Okay. Even though there's just 1, I'm going to put it in the pots that I like to grow in. So we've got this artichoke seed, green globe artichoke. I'm going to plant 2 of them. Now we did do some winter sowing with some artichokes outside as an experiment to see if I got any better at winter sowing. So we do have artichokes going outside, but I want to have artichokes going inside too. That way we have our bases covered. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it here and I'll throw a heat mat underneath it. I need to water it in, and I need to put vermiculite on everybody. I forgot to put vermiculite on everybody. Okay, let me get this seed situation handled. So as we plant more seeds together this season, you're going to see that I kind of do the same thing over and over again, but consistency is key here. So after I plant them, I water them in really well, give them a nice thin dusting of vermiculite on top just to keep the moisture level consistent. And then I tuck them into bed, whether that means on a heat mat or with a dome. Okay, friends, so this is the next day and I'm getting our setup ready. We are going to be doing our sweet potato slips and some more flowers so that green globe artichoke is not the lonely single cell down here in our grow room. So let's get things going. Friends, I've got my coffee. I've got all of our pots filled. So we are ready to go. So what I did was I added pre-moistened soil to these. Let's start with the sweet potatoes. So for sweet potatoes, I have these 4 shallower trays filled. Sweet potatoes you can buy, and I have purchased slips in the past from amazing companies that sell you organic sweet potato slips, and they come in the mail and they look like just the slips. It's just the sprout basically with some roots. And you plant those and the roots go down and create all of your delicious sweet potatoes underneath the ground. You can grow your own sweet potato slips, however. So you can grow them from store-bought potatoes. Save yourself some money, because to buy the sweet potato slips are like $20 to $40 for like a pack of them. So what you're going to do, if you want to grow them from your own, you either save your sweet potatoes from the previous season. So once you do this, you don't have to do it again, unless you're like me and had mice find your sweet potato and eat them all. And then you got to start over and grow your own slips again, but it's no big deal. So you have to buy organic sweet potatoes. And that's because the non-organic store-bought potatoes, white potatoes, sweet potatoes, whatever, they are sprayed with sprout inhibitors, meaning they're spraying with some things that they don't grow the sprouts, which you need to grow the potatoes. And that's because when you go to the grocery store, if you saw potatoes with sprouts growing out of them, you wouldn't want to purchase them, or people wouldn't want to purchase them. So they spray them so that they don't grow sprouts. And you want the sprouts because that's how you're going to grow your own potatoes. So you need to buy organic sweet potatoes. So I just went to my local big box store and they had a 3-pound, I believe this is 3 pounds. Yeah, a 3-pound pack of, yes, 3-pound pack of organic sweet potatoes. Doesn't matter the brand, just as long as it's organic. And so that came with these 4 large sweet potatoes. So you're just going to get the sweet potatoes. Now, I've seen a lot of people choose to grow them in like a container with water, and you can totally do that. The sprouts, you don't know which end they're going to come out of though. So if you grow them like this, you might have done it upside down. So the way I do it is not with water, but with moist soil. And you're going to take the sweet potatoes and you're actually going to bury them about halfway. You're just going to, I'm shaking the whole camera. You're just going to put them in about halfway down sideways. That way, it doesn't matter which end they're coming up, they're going to make their way. So you're just going to take the sweet potatoes and put them in about halfway. You don't need to bury them all the way. You just need them about halfway in. This guy is huge. Let me make sure you guys can see. So you're just going to put them in about halfway. I'm going to grab a little more soil and just kind of push it up to the side just a little bit. You don't need them all the way covered because the sprouts are going to come right up out of these. So you're just going to, I know it seems simple and like this might be too easy, but this is actually the way you do it. The way I've done it in the past successfully. So, and I didn't come up with this, I didn't create this, but I learned this and it's really worked well for me. So you're going to put them in, bury them about halfway, and you're going to keep the soil moist. Not soaking wet because the potato will rot and you don't want the potato to rot, but you want it to be an environment where things grow. So moist, you don't want it to dry out. And you're going to just every couple days, you're going to come back and mist the soil to keep it moist. And then until they sprout, I do keep them covered. So I just take a second little thing and put it upside down on top of it because they like it dark and moist in there. You don't have to use a heat mat. They will just take a little longer to sprout. But once they do sprout, you want to take the cover off and let the sprouts keep going. And then we'll do this journey together. But once the sprouts grow up to where they're a few inches tall, you actually snip them and put them in a jar of water. That jar of water lets them grow their roots. And then that's how you take them and put them outside. So it's just that easy. It just takes a little bit of time. Last year I started them the first part of February, but maybe mid-February, and they were great and they grew and they were successful. Besides the mice really enjoyed them. But this year I just want them a little bigger. So I'm going to start them a couple weeks earlier. So each one of these potatoes will grow you minimum of 5 to 6 slips. Minimum. I felt like last year I grew like a dozen on each potato. So this is plenty of potato. I'm going to have so many slips that I'm going to be giving them to my neighbors just from these 4 potatoes. So don't feel like you need to go buy like 20 pounds of potatoes for a backyard garden worth. It's going to be lovely. So we're going to do this together. So we've got our sweet potatoes planted. We are going to get them covered up once we're done planting the rest of our flowers. So we're going to plant some flowers on this side. Let me bring you in to show you what varieties we're going to be planting today. So since this whole tray is going to be on the heat mat, might as well use the space, right? So we've got our green globe artichoke. We've got our 4 sweet potatoes that are going to be growing as slips. So I thought, let's start some things that sometimes take a little time to germinate. Sometimes you have to plant them more than once. And things that are going to be beautiful if I set them out in the cold weather. So I do have another order of different Rudbeckia on the way, and I'm kind of obsessed with Rudbeckia, so we'll be planting more of that. But for today, we're going to be planting some rose aster, which I'm excited about. We're going to be planting some aster giant perfection mix. And then we're also going to be planting the Rudbeckia Sahara. And put up on the screen, but we're going to be doing from our saved seeds that we saved. So I'll try to put up that picture on the screen. Then we're also going to be doing some violas. I think I have more violas on the way too. I'm not sure. So we're going to be doing some King Henry violas. We're going to be doing some, these are older seeds, so I'm not sure, but these are going to be Johnny Jump Up violas. And then, what are these called? Floral Days Morning Dew. These were really pretty last year. So we're going to start those. We've got our seed tray ready. So we'll just get these in. I love violas. Last year I put them kind of like in the middle of my raised beds, and this year I kind of want to give them a more prominent spot. I just wasn't sure because it was the first year I had them, and I know that they I think they're supposed to be perennials near me, but they're very cold hardy. So if they're not perennials, they self-sow. So we'll see. So okay, Floral Days. Let me see. Let me count out how many I want to do of each one. So, and normally you would put these trays inside the little thing. So they have this little holder so that you can pick them up and bottom water and stuff. Just for the sake of getting things started today, I'm just going to put them loose in there since this won't fit with the sweet potatoes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we'll give each one 2, and then 3 of them will get 3. Or I'll plant a second tray. I do that too. So first, the floral. I want to get 3 of these. I try to mark as I go, and that's how I know they've been planted. So I'm just going to be using these tags with the white marker. I've used these the last couple years, and they really last all season. Like these are from 2 seasons ago. So let me get these marked. And again, I think we've talked about this before, but I love these little photo keeper boxes, and then being able to throw them in the big box just keeps your seeds nice and safe from rodents, moisture, all the things really. Okay, so we're going to do 2 Johnny Jump Ups, a few years old. So I'm going to go ahead and maybe overseed a little bit. And then we've got some Viola King Henry that we're going to do as well. Excited about these. And again, whenever I open up a seed packet, I like to reseal it with washi tape because you can open, close, open, close, open, close a lot of times with washi tape, and it still stays sticky and doesn't like tear up the package. So washi craft tape for the win. Let me get those 2 cells marked. Okay, now we've got some Rudbeckia and some asters. Now we have winter stone these as well. So this is like we're doubling up. Okay, and I might still plant more Rudbeckia because again, I'm kind of going through I'm obsessed with the Rudbeckia phase, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So let's do some aster first. Let me get some tags ready. Get that sealed back up. Then some more of our giant perfection aster. This year I'm really trying to be, last year I did a much better job growing more flowers. When I first started gardening, I was like, why so many flowers? I want to grow food. And the more I'm gardening, the more I'm realizing, of course, what seems obvious now, but didn't at the time. So the more things you have for the pollinators, the better your fruit and vegetable yield will be because they're coming into your garden and they're pollinating all of your food for you. That's the first reason to grow more flowers. And then the second reason is it's just such a more beautiful environment. And there's something you want to, just from Roots and Refuge, you want to grow something lovely. Like you want the garden to be not just bountiful for the food, but also good for your soul. You know what I mean? Especially nowadays, there's so much heaviness and so many things that all of us are going through, the collective trauma that we've all been through. And I feel like for me personally, I just love the flowers and the embracing the beauty of the garden as well. So grow something lovely, and that's what we're doing. So we're growing more flowers for the pollinators and for us. Let me see. Let's get these in there. Okay. Aster Den. Now we'll grow our Rudbeckia. You guys, I loved this flower so much that I saved seeds like 7 times. So I'm excited to grow more. And I'm excited for the other varieties of Rudbeckia that I ordered to get here. So we can just have tons of it. Got to do a little seed separating. So we have all of these beautiful saved. And we want to separate them out a little bit. Otherwise, I'm planting 700 of them. Now, since we saved our own seed, I do have 7,000 Rudbeckia seeds. So I'm going to kind of oversee these ones too, just because last year it was so hard to get the initial Rudbeckia plants to germinate. So we're going to go heavy on the Rudbeckias. Let them have more moments this year. Okay, I'm going to get these. Kind of tucked in. I'm not going to bury these. What I'm going to do is kind of press them to make sure that they're making contact with the soil, which they all are. And I'm going to sprinkle the smallest bit of soil on top. And then I'm going to do a dusting of vermiculite. Making sure I don't transfer seed to seed here. Okay. Although, I love all these, so if they grow up in the wrong tray, that's all right. We'll still plant them out. Okay. Nice. Okay. I left my watering sprayer upstairs. I'm going to go grab that. Okay, so I'm going to top off these sweet taters with a little bit of soil first. And again, you don't need to fertilize this soil because the sprouts are growing off of the mother sweet potatoes, and those sweet potatoes are going to feed the slips, the sprouts, with all the nutrients that they need. And so we don't really need to fertilize the soil. We just need to keep the soil moist so that they have the perfect growing conditions to leave the nest and grow away from their mother plants. So we've got those 4 tucked in nicely, and that's going to be good. And nicely, I'm going to sprinkle just a little bit of soil. You don't really need to do this. You can just kind of surface sow and vermiculite on top, especially because these seeds are tiny. But I'll give them just a little bit. Put the rest in here with the sweet taters, since it was already moistened. Then Got our pump sprayer. Give everybody a good everybody got their first watering in. Then we'll grab some vermiculite. Now, vermiculite, not necessary. There's no rule that says you have to put vermiculite on. Here's why I like it. It keeps the moisture level on the surface, so it helps the soil from drying out on the top. And when seeds are germinating, they need to stay moist to germinate. So I like to do this when I'm in the seeding room, in the grow room. I like to do this right after I put the seeds in because it keeps the moisture level a little bit, keeps the soil from drying out. Now, again, not necessary to do this on the sweet potatoes either, but if I'm doing it, I might as well do it. So what I like to do is water my seeds in first, then I'll do a little light dusting of some vermiculite, give them another watering in, and then tuck them into bed. So the ones that need like dark to germinate, some flowers need darkness to germinate. The sweet potatoes need darkness to grow the slips. So I'm going to water this in again and then put the upside down covers on the sweet potatoes and then get this whole tray on the heat mat. Make sure you make a mess while you do it too, because that's half the fun. All right, we'll get these tented basically. Now I'm going to get the lights adjusted so that they're lower, closer to the seeds, and then we'll get them put on their heat mat, ready to go. It feels really good to have those strawberries cold stratifying in my garage and our first tray in here. So I'm just going to take the next few minutes, straighten everything up so that next time I come down here, we are ready to go. All right, my friends, that is it for today's planting. So we have got our Alpine strawberries, Yellow Wonder Alpine strawberries, cold stratifying in my garage. We have our sweet potato slips started, and we have our first round of indoor flowers planted as well with our green globe artichoke. So I just want to thank you guys so much for spending time with me today. I appreciate all the likes and the shares and the comments. If you haven't yet subscribed, please consider subscribing already. We have so much more growing and cooking and preserving to do together. So I can't wait to see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much for everything. Bye, my friends.